Hey everyone, welcome back to Big Markets Think Simple. The whole world is caught up in the AI craze right now. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. But here's something most people overlook. These incredibly smart AI systems are massive electricity hogs. The US power grid is under serious strain. AI is consuming so much power that the grid is basically bursting at the seams. Nuclear plants take 7 to 10 years to build, gas turbines backordered globally for years. So what's the solution America came up with? Ship engines, the giant engines that go inside massive cargo vessels set on land running as generators for data centers. And the company that just landed that contract? It's in South Korea. Today's story is Hyundai Heavy Industries. 50 years ago, this company walked into a British bank with nothing but a banknote and a bold claim. Now they're emerging as a key partner for AI data centers and the US Navy. Let's get into it. This video is not investment advice. It's for educational, entertainment, informational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. Any investment decisions are your own responsibility. So why is AI, the most cutting-edge technology on the planet, turning to ship engines of all things? Simple. Data centers need enormous amounts of electricity, and there's no fast way to get it to them. Unlike a factory or apartment building, data centers can't just plug into the local power grid. A single large data center draws so much power, it would overwhelm an entire regional grid. So the big tech companies decided build a dedicated power plant right next to the data center, generate our own electricity. The question is, with what? Nuclear takes 7 to 10 years, gas turbines are back-ordered for years worldwide. That's when they landed on ship engines. String enough of them together and they can do the job of a real power plant. These are the same engines that push massive LNG tankers across the Pacific for months at a time. Now, set on land, running as generators. Tough enough to run 24/7 without breaking a sweat, cheaper than gas turbines, and actually available when you need them. For data centers that need power yesterday, that's a hard combination to beat. This is where our main player comes in, Hyundai Heavy Industries. At its core, this is a shipbuilder, the largest in the world. LNG tankers, container ships, naval warships. If it floats and it's big, they probably built it. But the real secret weapon isn't the ships inside, it's the engines inside them. Think of it like a great restaurant. The magic is in the sauce. Their proprietary HiMSEN engine line holds about 35% of the global marine engine market. Roughly 1 in every 3 ships on the ocean runs on an engine built by this company. Because that engine technology is so strong, they've expanded into land-based power generation, which brings us to the deal that's been turning heads. Hyundai Heavy Industries recently signed a contract worth approximately $430 million with U.S. energy firm AEG, supplying 33 engines to 3 data centers in Texas with a combined output of 684 megawatts. To put that in perspective, 684 megawatts can power roughly 400,000 households at the same time. This market was previously dominated by Finland's Wärtsilä, which held over 60% of the segment. But as AI demand exploded, even Wärtsilä couldn't keep up with orders. Hyundai Heavy Industries stepped in at exactly the right moment. They're now selling the engine, the most valuable part, directly to some of the biggest tech infrastructure projects in the world. And engine margins are significantly better than shipbuilding alone. The engine business is booming, but what about core shipbuilding? Hyundai Heavy Industries builds all kinds of vessels, but the product that really drives profitability is the LNG carrier, going for around $250 million each, 2 to 3 times the price of a standard bulk carrier. Why so expensive? Because an LNG carrier isn't just a big metal box. It's a floating ultra-precision cryogenic storage unit carrying something highly flammable. To transport natural gas efficiently, you compress it into liquid form, shrinking the volume by a factor of 600. That requires cooling it to negative 260 degrees Fahrenheit. Regular steel gets brittle and shatters at that temperature, so the ship needs specialized alloys and multi-layer insulation, engineered so not a single drop of gas escapes, even in heavy seas. Hyundai Heavy Industries builds these ships better than almost anyone, holding roughly 30% of the global LNG carrier market. Chinese shipbuilders try to undercut on price, but most shipping companies come back to the proven players. When you're operating a $250 million vessel loaded with pressurized liquefied gas in open ocean, the math is simple. You don't cut corners. They're also expanding into ammonia and hydrogen carriers as the energy transition picks up pace. This is exactly why they're called the high-value king of global shipbuilding. Here's where it gets even more interesting. The U.S. Navy has come knocking. Why would the world's most powerful naval force reach out to a South Korean shipyard? The core issue is straightforward. The U.S. simply doesn't have enough shipbuilding and repair capacity. Meanwhile, China is producing warships at a pace that has Washington genuinely alarmed. This is a national security issue. So the U.S. reached out to trusted allies, and by nearly every measure, capability, speed, quality, and cost, HD Hyundai Heavy Industries came out near the top. The key term here is MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhaul, keeping naval vessels in fighting shape. HD Hyundai Heavy Industries has already cleared the MSRA certification required to work on U.S. military vessels and successfully completed maintenance on Navy ships, including the USNS Alan Shepard and USNS Cesar Chavez, earning strong reviews. What makes this relationship compelling is the potential trajectory. MRO can grow into large-scale upgrades, then joint construction of auxiliary vessels, and potentially a much larger role in rebuilding American shipbuilding capacity. These first contracts may be opening a much larger door. Engines for AI data centers, LNG carriers for global energy, U.S. Navy warships, HD Hyundai Heavy Industries is quietly becoming a strategic industrial partner for the United States. The strategy sounds compelling, but what does the actual scorecard look like? This company looks completely different than it did just a few years ago. Back in 2021, HD Hyundai Heavy Industries was running at a loss. The shipbuilding cycle had been rough, and ships contracted at low prices years earlier were coming due in a world of rising steel costs. Revenue has grown from around $7.6 billion in 2021 to approximately $12.1 billion in 2025. But the more striking shift is profitability, from losses in 2021 to roughly $480 million in operating profit in 2024 to nearly tripling that at around $1.4 billion in 2025. Q1 of this year continued the trend, with operating profit up over 100% year over year. It's not just that they're busier, the quality of the business has changed. High-margin engine sales, premium LNG carriers, and a growing services business are all firing at once. On the order book side, roughly 3 to 4 years of work is already locked in. Their 2026 new order target is around $14 billion, and they've already secured about $4.2 billion in just the first quarter, roughly 30% of the annual goal in 3 months. It'd be easy to walk away thinking HD Hyundai Heavy Industries is a guaranteed win. It's not. Here are the real risks. First, Chinese competition. Chinese shipyards account for around 60% of global ship production and are increasingly pushing into LNG carriers and other technically demanding segments. South Korean builders still hold a meaningful edge, but if Chinese yards keep closing the gap on price, some customers will follow. Second, shipbuilding is cyclical. Right now, everything looks great. Strong orders, elevated prices, full backlogs. But this sector swings hard. If global shipping demand softens or customers pull back, the picture a few years out could look quite different. Third, cost pressure. Steel, labor, subcontractors, it all moves with the economy. When the yard is running at full capacity, skilled workers get harder to find and more expensive. A boom can bring its own headaches. And fourth, the newer business lines still need to prove staying power. One contract is a data point, not a trend. The question is whether the data center and Navy relationships grow into ongoing, repeatable business. The potential is clearly there, but it hasn't been fully realized yet. One last thing before we close. About 50 years ago, founder Chung Ji-young walked into a British bank to borrow money for a shipyard he hadn't built yet to make ships he'd never built before. The banker was skeptical. So, Chung pulled out a Korean banknote and pointed to the image on it, the Gobuksan, a 16th century Korean ironclad warship. Our people built armored ships 300 years before Britain did. We know what we're doing. He walked out with the loan, then built the shipyard and the first ship at the same time. That spirit, make the bold bet, figure it out as you go, is still baked into this company's DNA. And 50 years later, those ships and engines are helping power the AI revolution and support U.S. national security. HD Hyundai Heavy Industries is no longer just a place where steel gets cut and welded. It's evolving into a global energy and defense infrastructure company. How high the next wave goes is a question worth watching. If you found today's breakdown useful, hit subscribe and drop a like. Let us know in the comments, what do you think comes next? Thanks for watching.